Welcome to Mastering Your World Through Frequencies. In this episode, there's an introduction, an interview, and most importantly, at the end, a group frequency calibration where the frequency work happens and change is catalyzed. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, this is Karen Cheong, and I'm here with my co-host Tia. When most people hear the term ultimate relationship, they think of an intimate partner. But there's one relationship that's more important than all the rest, which can result in what I call the state of the beloved. Today we're discussing what the beloved state is, why it's so critical, how to get there, and how it's a massive stepping stone into the new consciousness. And after the discussion, we get to the most important part of this episode. The group frequency calibration at the end is where the frequency work happens and where change actually occurs. So be sure to listen to that. Without releasing distortion patterns targeted by the GFC, the change you want will be more difficult to attain because you haven't addressed the root of the issue. So let's jump right in.
Hi, Karen. So what is the ultimate relationship to you?
Yeah. So, it's funny. When people think about the ultimate relationship, they often think about intimate partnership, right? Because that's how it's framed. But actually, the most important relationship we have is that with Pure Source, your relationship with Pure Source. And really what happens is that when we have a clarified relationship with Pure Source, or the one infinite creator, or the divine, whatever you want to call that very, very highly resonating consciousness from which everything devolves, we enter what I call the beloved state. So it's funny, again, when we think of the word beloved, we think of intimate partnership, the one that is most beloved to us. Even it's either intimate partnership or perhaps children, something like this. Yeah. But for me, the beloved state is actually something that supersedes the human. Okay, in the sense that when you enter the beloved state, or let me back up. Most of us, when we want relationship or go in looking for relationship, we often seek outside ourselves to find completion, love, passion, fulfillment, whatever it is, right? And in all of our media and all of our songs, our stories, we're looking for the one, right? The one with whom we can live happily ever after, right? This is like what Disney has made their whole market on, right?
Yeah.
So anyhow, so this is the idea of that one, right? And it doesn't really matter whether it's completion by another, okay? Or for some people, when they think of completion at all, they think of finding it somewhere else. Whether it's in another, whether it's in work, whether it's in how they serve.
Experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Something, someone, whatever it is.
Exactly. So it's external to you.
Yeah.
It's even if you're on a spiritual journey, you think of the divine is outside of you. Right? You're looking for it outside. It's over there somewhere, right? It's not in you. You're I'm chasing or seeking the divine. I yearn to connect with the divine, but it's not in me. It's out there, right? So all of this referencing is external. External, external, external. When you're in the beloved state, it's really spectacular because you recognize your own completeness, your own wholeness, and that you are beloved by the one infinite creator without having to do anything. And not only are you beloved, but everything and everyone is beloved by that very highly resonating consciousness. This is a huge shift. Why? Because for a long time, we've been seeking outside ourselves because we're not enough, right? We're not good enough. We're not worthy enough. We're not holy enough. We don't do enough. We're not abundant enough. We're not enough. We're not enough. So we externally reference. We seek external to ourselves to find that completion. But finally, when we sense this state of the beloved, and again, it doesn't matter if you experience it for a second or if you experience it for longer. It's the state when you enter it, you recognize you are enough, that you are complete, and that you are cherished and precious and as important to the whole as the whole is to you. It's all kind of integrated. It's all intermeshed together. You are part of the one. And as I said, you realize that everyone and everything is beloved as well. So there's no need to like hoard love or to try, there's no jealousy, there's no envy, because there's no scarcity, there's no lack. This love is everywhere. It runs through us, it runs around us, it's like everywhere, And so it's very contrary to our normal state of scarcity, right? Of non-deserving, of non-worthiness.
So I have 2 questions coming up.
Yeah.
One is about the new consciousness, and
Sure.
just say it out loud so I
Yeah.
don't forget. And one is terminology clarification. So
Sure.
when we first started the podcast here, you said the most important relationship is the one with the Creator.
Yeah.
So is that the same as saying with yourself, since you are
Yeah.
so your higher self? Like
Let's clarify terms. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that's awesome.
Okay.
So with all of these terms that we call the divine,
Yes.
right? Whether it's the divine, God, the one infinite creator, whatever you want to call the divine, it's always something that we seek. Like all those words, it's like it's not us.
Yeah.
So we're like chasing it.
Yeah.
Right? So when I say relationship with the one, it includes you. Because
Okay.
you're part of the one.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by that. And what do I mean by the one? The one is like everything, really,
It's
and you're
not
part
your
of it.
higher self. That's something different.
Yeah, it's something different. So
Okay.
when I say the relationship with the one, it's the one infinite creator, pure source,
The
whatever
Tao
it is.
is another way, or is
Are
we getting too off track
I
here?
think the Tao, I don't really know enough about the Tao.
Sure, it's
to-
like a separate religion thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I would say is when you realize that you're part of the one, you realize that you yourself are an aspect of the divine. So you are part of the one infinite, the divine, whatever you want to call it, the one. You're part of that. It is part of you. So you don't have to seek outside of yourself to get it because it already animates you. It is you. You
and
don't
then
have to do anything.
and therefore, since it's everything, it's also everyone.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. And so you're part of it. It is part of you. You can't separate it, right? It's like, how do you separate this piece of skin from that? Well, I guess you could tear it, but you know what I mean? Like it's implicit. It's a part of you.
Yes,
Right? It's
yes.
like it's a one big whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then second, this whole definition that you're talking about, this new way of thinking,
Yeah.
is because of this new consciousness coming in.
Yeah.
So did it not exist before, or
Yeah.
did we just weren't aware of it as much?
So yeah, I love that question. Thank you
Okay.
for asking. So in the old consciousness, I'm just going to like give contrast.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the old consciousness, it's really defined by kind of some very low resonating dense distortion patterns, and scarcity is one of them.
Yes.
Like not enough of something, right? That's what feeds low self-worth, non-deserving. Not enough, not enough, not enough. And that's based on the illusion of separation. The only reason we feel like we're not enough, that things are scarce, that we have to oppress in order to gain something, take
Yes.
something from someone else so we have something, greed, all that sort of stuff. All of that is because there's this illusion of separation, that we're not part of the one, right? That we're separate from. And in that separation, it's very painful. So that reinforces that sense that you have to seek outside yourself to be complete. That you're separate, you're not infinite, indestructible consciousness, integral to everything. And you and I have talked about this before in terms of the veil of forgetting, right?
Yes.
So where does the illusion of separation come from? Just in case somebody's new and hasn't heard this before. So when you come into embodiment, you have to drop into this vibrational level. So it's a drop usually in vibrational level into density.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, density is only 0.00001% of the all that is. Everything else is not dense. It's disembodied, right? It's like ephemeral.
Energy.
Yeah, exactly. It's not solid.
Yeah.
Yes, it's energy or frequencies or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so in order to come into density or to form, you have to drop in vibrational level. And as you do that, you drop through the veil of forgetting. And in that veil of forgetting, it's a layer where you go through, where you forget, that's part of the agreement into coming into humanness, that you are part of the one infinite creator, that you are infinite, indestructible consciousness. That is a huge forgetting. And for some people, that's really traumatic because as you're dropping into density, right, you've made this choice to come into embodiment. You're wanting to experience the 0.00001 or whatever it is, right? Because it's exciting. You're like, whoa, it's like a rare thing. So I kind of want to experience that. And it sounds really cool. And then you drop through the veil of forgetting. You're like, oh no.
This is horrible. No.
You're like, what? And then as you forget, for some people, that's really traumatic.
Okay.
And it can cause more distortion, right? Because you're like, you forget that you're this infinite, indestructible consciousness, a part of the one. It's like a huge, massive forgetting, and that's what we're remembering now. So and that's what causes all these distortions of scarcity, greed, all these things we just mentioned, right? Because if you're not part of the one, You're not part of that infiniteness. You're not part of, that all that is. When you're not part of that, you feel like you're finite.
Yeah.
Right? That there isn't enough, that there is only this physicality, that there is only
All
this
the
lifetime.
distortions.
All the distortions.
Come from that.
Yeah, a lot of them.
So wait a minute. So people who are born now or soon, while this new consciousness is here, what, they don't have the veil of forgetting? They don't have distortion?
No, they still have the veil of forgetting because they wanted to come into humanness.
Okay, humanness, if you're human, you have...
You've dropped through the veil of forgetting.
Okay.
But kids who are new conscious kids, like your daughter,
Yeah.
she will forget it less. So it's not like she didn't go through the veil of forgetting, but for her to remember who she truly is will take less for her.
Okay.
Right? Like the new consciousness kids, like we know a couple.
Oh,
that
sure.
You and I in common, right? And they are aware that they're more than human. They are 100% aware.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't take that from them. They just know. Like,
I see.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
they almost have a one-up
yes.
on the ones who were...
Yeah, like we've forgotten more.
Yes.
Like, we have to do more work to remember.
Yeah,
But the new consciousness kids are like, hello, I'm more than
don't
my
you see
humanness.
that
Yeah, I'm more than my humanness. We're all connected. Like, why? How do you not know this?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yet they're still human.
they're still
doing the
human
things.
and they're bumping into things and
Sure.
having their experience and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But for them to remember, it's so much less hard.
Okay.
Okay, it's easier for them. So again, to go back to the new consciousness and the old. So the old is rife with all of these heavy distortions having to do with scarcity and needing something external to complete us because we don't feel that we're connected to the infinite, to the one infinite creator. We'd forgotten. Okay, in the new consciousness that's coming in, as we step into this beloved state, even if you have this for a second, it's like those new consciousness kids. They know that they are more than just their human experience. You can't take it from them. It's like in them, embodied in them. When we enter this state of the beloved, it's now becoming available to us. And the reason it's so spectacular is because, and we haven't been able to before because consciousness was too low. Okay, so what's happening is as we as a collective are releasing some of these distortion patterns, and as those of us who are doing this kind of work are releasing these distortion patterns out of us, we start to be able to experience the state of the beloved. Why is that so huge? Because just imagine, now don't forget, you're a frequency package. You're emanating all these frequencies. You're broadcasting them into the around you.
Yeah.
If you go from scarcity and lack, I am not enough, I don't have enough, I can never be enough, to I am beloved, everything changes. Because that changes the nature of how you'll accept being treated, right? It changes how I'll treat you because I recognize you also are beloved. It changes how I treat the planet. It changes how we collectively make decisions. It changes how we have governments, how we have systems. This is how you change the world,
Wow.
right? So having this change in frequency is massive. You go from lack, right? Sacrifice, suffering, into I am beloved. Like it's like a massive game changer,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So this state is really, really a big deal. We just gave a whole event called The Relationship with the One in Colorado, and it is pivotal. And what I will say is that, that event, man, all my events, I don't think about them events. It's not like, gee, I have my year. I'd like to have 4 events this year. I'm going to plan them here, here, and here. And this is what the topics. It's not like that for me anyway. Drives my new team crazy sometimes. But I'll go into meditation, or I'll come in like, whoop, right? I'll be like,
Now's the time to
yeah,
go.
it's like I'm like, it's on relationship, and it's like it's like in the summer. Okay, I know it's somewhere in the middle of the country. I can feel the mountains. It's not that specific,
Yeah.
and it is at the same time. Like I know it's on relationship, and the thing is about this particular event and the state of the beloved. Man, when I received a meditation, I could feel the frequencies of where we were going to. And honestly, it made me nervous because I was like, oh my God, because I know where I am now. And to be able to give that, I was like, the jump was huge, right?
Even for you.
Even to be able to facilitate it. I was just like, okay, sure, we'll do that.
Okay, let's go. So a big leap of faith for you there,
exactly. So it's the human part of me. I'm like, and then the big S self, right? The spirit, the part that's identified with spirit was like, it and it will be.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so that event was pivotal. If you're curious about that event, because we can talk about this all day long, Tia, and there will be a GFC at the end to help facilitate the beginning of this. Yeah. But that event really took people from that state of lack, not enoughness, not worthiness, into the last day. The frequencies were so clear and pure, and I was crying actually when I was giving it. to be in that state of the beloved, to be able to have people like tip into that. Like, again, it doesn't matter. It can be for a second and then flash out, but you've touched it.
Right. And then you kind of have that reference.
Exactly.
When you're in your low point, you're like, wait, I know
what
this
that is.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I mean, like those new consciousness kids, do they have bad days? Of course they do. They're children. You know what I mean? They're human. Of course they have bad days. And yet there's something in them that knows that there's something greater, you know, even in their humanness.
Yes.
So this is the same. And the thing is, you know, it's new. So the more you get to entrain to it, the more familiar you are with it, the more you can embody it. You know, you do yoga, right? When you do an asana for the first time, you're like, oh my God, I'm off balance. I don't have the core strength. I don't know where to put my feet. I don't know how to like hold my bandhas. I don't know anything, right? Yeah. And you fall over, or maybe you don't do it great. But by the 20th time that you've done it, you're like, oh, I got it.
Yeah, just like anything, it's a practice.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's almost like we're like rewiring our brains.
Yeah.
You know?
You're rewiring your brains, you're rewiring your central nervous system, you're rewiring, and you're shifting your frequency. And the jump in the frequency resonance is so high. Like from this event, okay, so it's amazing. This one woman wrote in, she goes like, I can't, like it was amazing. This event like blew my mind. And she said, and the physical thing for me is like, for her, sexuality has been a challenge. And part of this was, there is a portion on sex, actually. For her, she's been in menopause for 2.5 years. She got her cycle back. She got her period back after the event. And because she clarified a whole bunch of stuff.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
See?
Stuff like this, or people saying that like they understand, they like start to love themselves, right? And they start to see everything in a different light. Because when you feel that beloved state and recognize not just you and everything around you is beloved, there's nothing, it's weird. Like you don't have to strive, like you don't have to compete, you don't have to strive. There's no jealousy, there's no like, do you know what I mean? Like there's less of that
I've noticed
combativeness.
like this, in this time especially, there's a lot of like victim mentality. So there's no victim mentality when you know you are whole and everyone else is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really empowering. And then it also gives you more distance from your emotions and other people's emotions. Because you have this, the beloved state is not a human state in the sense of like, I'm using the word beloved, but it's not love from a human standpoint. You know, you love your children, you love your partner, you love your parents.
Beyond that.
It's so far beyond human. It's not distorted by human emotion. It's like very, very clear consciousness of love.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with humanness. Right. It's very highly resonating. And in fact, this is what the being that was known as Christ emanated. That same love. Okay? But most humans, unfortunately, they're not highly resonating. It distorts them. They don't understand what that is. Yeah?
Yes.
But it's that resonance.
Yes. I remember when I was like 4, you know, I grew up Christian, loosely, you know, nothing crazy strict, but I remember hearing that story of Jesus on the cross, 4 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and he's getting stones thrown at him. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's like my favorite one, because I was 4 and I was like, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, and then years later, I was like, you know, in that practice, not Christianity, but, you know, really empathy and love towards others and self. And someone had told me, you're not Jesus. And I was just like crushed, like, oh, I thought we can be like that, you know? But so it's like a resonation thing, right?
Totally.
If you're resonating too low, it's not even like an option.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard to, because as you say, it's not human and it doesn't have sacrifice in it. It doesn't have suffering in it. It doesn't have, it's very clear and there's no scarcity in it.
Yeah.
You know? That's why there's no suffering. And the thing is, with humans, love, there's often control. There's often like sacrifice. There's often like weird hooking things in it. There's a lot of suffering, or it's not like we call it love, but there's a lot other stuff going on in there, right? It's not
hidden
clear.
agenda.
Because we all think we want something, because we want what we think we want, because we're not complete. So we think we have to like get it from someone else. This is not that. When I'm talking about the beloved, this is like a consciousness that is super high in resonance. And when you feel it, it literally changes the game. It like takes your breath away because it's not distorted by human emotion. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I know it's, I'm talking about, it's very difficult to describe until you feel it.
It seems like we don't have the language really to
don't.
describe it. It almost seems like this GFC would be something to do every morning also.
Yeah, yeah,
to start
totally.
your day,
to
though.
start your day. And then, and like I said, if you want to go deeper, to the event itself will be available. Because I think, as a product for people to watch, it's really pivotal. I don't usually promote our products like this, but I'm saying it because I truly believe.
Yeah, I can tell. It's sitting here right with you. I'm like, okay, wow, she's serious.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like the resonance of this is really important. Yeah. It will help you buoy up into the new. This is where we're moving. Yeah. Right? Like, what if you resonated with "I am beloved"? Everything is beloved. I am part of the one, and the one is part of me. What if that was your core resonance? That would change everything, right? Because implicit in all that, through the beloved state, right, where you're loved, do you think if you were in that beloved state that you would have scarcity? No. Everything is abundant. You see, you're tipping into that higher level frequency order where everyone wins, where everything wins, and it's about the one. And it's really... it's hard to explain, but it's very exciting, you know.
That sounds very exciting.
That we're getting to the point, and that's what was so breathtaking about this event. It's like, oh my God, we are getting here. Like we are. Like we're like it's happening.
It's not just a theory or a concept.
It's a frequency that we now get to tap into and embody and be.
So question though, like not to be a devil's advocate or anything, but
be a devil's advocate. Okay. Go for it.
So what about for those people who are atheist, right? That don't believe in anything divine.
Yeah.
How would you explain this to them?
Yeah. So my answer is that first, whenever it's time for someone to start to awaken, it's their time. So if someone's close to this because they believe that they're rational and this is how they want to view their world and everything has to be linear, chances are they're not going to be super open to this. However, life is funny. It's time for you to start the awakening process in your life, something will happen. It often will look like a crisis, right? I'm not wishing this on anyone. It just happens that way, right? Like a health crisis, a financial crisis, a relational crisis. It happened
like that for me too.
Yeah, that's what happened with me.
Okay.
And so that crisis happens. And then when you're in that state of like kind of suffering, honestly, when you're just like, can anything get any worse? Honestly, it's just like, this really sucks. Yeah. And you're on your knees. Yeah. It forces you into a surrender state. And then all of a sudden things start to crack open and things become possible. So for people who are atheists, totally honor and respect where they are. And whenever and if ever it's time for them to explore something new, then this will be
there for them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's a good point. We're not trying to force anything on anybody.
No. When your higher self is ready, I mean, it's going to kick you in the butt, right? Yeah. One way or another, to be like, hello, you know? Yeah. And now, the other thing about free will that I just like to mention, so when you get smacked over the head like that, and we've had different, like you've had one like this, and I did too, typically the journey to awakening starts with a little like, right? It flattens you a little bit, and that's what causes the seeking and the searching. Yeah. Now, we all have free will. So even when you're getting humbled like this, right, when you're on your knees, you have a choice. Some of us choose to turn our backs to that choice, meaning like, I just want to stay the way and I'm going to hold on to what I have. I'm going to keep things like the way I've known it because I go into more fear or more control or more whatever it is, right? Because that's how I manage. Some of us are like to the point that we have nothing left and we don't care. And then something starts to open. Right? And we go into this surrender state and then things start to shift around us. And we don't even know how the heck it all happens, but it just kind of does. So, you know, we all have free will. We're all making choices. Everyone thinks, oh my God, I'm going to make a wrong choice. It's in stone. That's looking at it from the smallest self. You have to remember, this is an infinite game, right? Your lifetime is really small. And you have the choice to experience all of this magic and all of this resonance and all of this possibility, and you have the choice to not. It's totally okay. It's your choice, you know? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying the possibility for both exists. Okay. It's up to you. And also when, you know, life or higher self kind of like smacks you on the head to start to wake up, you can ignore it or you can move with it. And it's okay whichever one you choose. But what I will say is that for some people, that that smacking over the head only happens a few times and then it stops happening. And it's not a threat or trying to make you afraid, but it's just what happens after a while, actually. So, because you decline. with your free will. You're like, no, I don't want that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Okay, so it stops being offered, basically.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, it's more uncomfortable to live how you've been living than the discomfort of stepping into something new.
Yeah.
You know?
That's because you love growth.
Okay, well, that's easy.
It's true, but it's true though,
Yeah.
right? For
Yeah.
you. But some people are terrified. They can't let go, right?
yeah.
And even like, there are some people, like the beloved state is a scary thing for them in a way because you have to let go of so much in order to enter it, right? Like who you think you are, how you think relationships work, what is love,
sure.
what is separation, how much
All the
scarcity you have, all the
stories,
stories, the memories, the blame, the victim, all that, right? That yuck.
Yeah.
That can't exist in the beloved state. You know?
Yeah.
Right? Now, here's the other thing. People will ask, potentially, well, what is that? Do I have to be perfect? No, that's not the point. You are beloved as you are. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be better. You don't have to be more resonant. You don't have to be more honorable. You don't have to be more abundant. You don't have to be anything. You're just you. And you're beloved exactly as you are. And can you optimize that? Sure. But it doesn't change the state of the beloved. Does
That's
that
kind
make
of
sense?
the point of the, right? It's just you. So I could feel it right now.
Yeah.
It's just shifting awareness to it?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. And having the resonance of it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then when you have that, then, and like I said, you just need to feel it for a second.
Yeah.
And then it's like a little touch point. It's like something there in your awareness somewhere where you're like, wait a minute, I know what that is.
Let me find
That
that.
thing. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, cool.
Exactly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and even if you don't feel it, so there are some people who don't feel, right? Who aren't like us, and they can't tell. It doesn't matter if you put yourself in that resonance enough. You'll tell. It's like when it's not there, you notice it more. Does that make sense? You may not
sure.
be able to.
The absence of it
Yeah.
helps you to almost notice it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, and you'll notice when it's not that, right? So if you're entering a relationship, for example, and it has all the wrappers of love and passion and intimacy, and you get in there and you're like, ooh, wait a minute, right? Like I don't feel beloved in this relationship. But wait a minute, I know because I've been in that resonance of the beloved. This isn't right. Like what's happening here isn't right.
I feel
That
like
might be there too.
another, maybe this is a side note, but another way is like feeling that flow.
Yeah.
Like the ease.
Yeah.
If there's no ease, it doesn't mean it has to be easy
Easy.
per se, but
Yeah.
there's a sense of flow.
Yeah.
Like you're not banging up against a wall constantly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're probably in the right space.
Space, exactly. And then the other thing too is, like I said, it's not like you enter the beloved state and like you never have challenge
No.
and you feel it 24/7. You're human, all right? It's okay.
Yeah.
So, but you remember it, and it's like the challenge is there to help you to grow. And in the midst of that challenge, this is little remembering. You're like, it's there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it can't be taken, just like in those new consciousness kids, even when they're struggling, they know. It's like you can't take it from them.
Yes.
And it's glorious. So
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I have one question that I had kind of back 5 minutes or so
Sure.
ago, so it might seem random, but
Yeah.
so okay, you're feeling this sense of beloved in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which therefore reflects to everyone else. But what about when you see someone else outside of you that doesn't seem to be touching into that?
Yeah.
You just still know that they are
Yeah.
that. Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
Yeah. So you know that they are not feeling
maybe they're
it.
not tapping into something, but they do exist as.
Yeah, well, it's more like they aren't at the resonance where they experience that state themselves. It doesn't mean that they're not beloved. They're just not aware that they're beloved. Does that make sense?
And therefore, that's projecting out
yeah.
into the world.
Into the world.
Yeah.
So that's most people,
Yeah.
actually. It's relatively new for us.
Yeah.
So it's new.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people who exemplify that, right? They're not aware that they're beloved. That was like most of us, like recently.
Yeah.
You know? But even when you feel your own belovedness and you see that they also are beloved because they are part of everything, you know, and everyone.
Yeah.
But they can't recognize that. It's sort of like, okay, I'm just going to focus on myself. So you're not trying to make them feel better. You can't.
No.
It's their journey into the state of the beloved if they choose it. So it's not about forcing them. It's not about trying to make it better for them. It's not about that. It's like you recognize, oh, they don't feel that. Okay, I feel that for me. I recognize that they are also beloved, even if they don't perceive it. Okay, I'm just going to hold my own resonance here. Because even in you holding your own resonance of the beloved, them being in your field,
they'll get a hint of it.
Yeah, it's like
You're
a
leading by
possibility.
example in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're leading by resonance. Yeah.
Ah,
Exactly.
very cool. So pretty much if you exist, you're beloved.
Yep.
Perfect. Just sum it up there.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah. It's just
Very
about
cool.
us recognizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really embodying it.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're about to start the group frequency calibration, where we actually do the frequency work and where change is catalyzed. To get to the GFC, click on the square that'll appear to the right or the link in the description below. Because I'm working on frequency level, GFCs are not like regular meditations. Many people go into a somewhat altered state, so please don't drive while listening to this. It's time to bring in a new experience, a new consciousness, and a new world. Let's rise together.